Sam Langford is a name that deserves to echo through the halls of boxing history. Yet he remains one of the sport's most overlooked legends. People like Jack Johnson and Jack Dempsey were very afraid of Sam Langford. Known as the Boston Tar Baby, Langford was a fighter whose skill, power, and resilience transcended weight classes, earning him respect from fans and fear from opponents across the globe. Despite his incredible talent, Langford's career was defined not only by his victories in the ring, but also by the struggles he faced outside it, including systemic racism and a lack of opportunities to compete for a title. This video will take you on a journey through the life and career of Sam Langford, exploring his rise from humble beginnings to become one of the most formidable fighters the sport has ever seen. We'll uncover the stories behind his legendary battles, his unparalleled versatility, and the heartbreaking challenges that led to his later years of poverty and obscurity. Join us as we shed light on the man many consider to be one of the greatest boxers of all time. This is the story you never knew. Sam Langford's journey began in Weymouth Falls, Nova Scotia, in 1886, a small village that gave no indication it would produce one of boxing's greatest talents. Born into poverty, Langford faced hardship from an early age. At 15, he left home in search of better opportunities, eventually settling in Boston, Massachusetts. It was there that he found his calling as a fighter. Despite his small stature, standing just 5'7" Langford possessed an extraordinary natural talent for boxing that quickly set him apart from his peers. Langford began his boxing career in local gyms, where his potential was immediately evident. Known for his cleverness and ability to adapt, he quickly earned the nickname the Boston Tar Baby. His physical attributes were remarkable: unusually long arms for his height and bone-crushing power in both hands. Combined with an uncanny sense of timing and distance, Langford developed a style that baffled opponents. He wasn't just a brawler, he was a tactician, capable of outthinking and outmaneuvering even the most experienced fighters. Langford's reputation continued to grow with each fight. His unique ability to fight across weight classes made him a rarity in boxing. He could outthink the quickest lightweights, outmuscle the toughest welterweights, and even go toe-to-toe with heavyweights, despite giving up significant size and weight. His uncanny ability to read opponents, deliver pinpoint punches, and withstand punishment made him a fighter no one wanted to face. By the time Langford began competing regularly, he had already demonstrated his remarkable potential. His skill, courage, and determination in the ring were unparalleled. These early years set the foundation for a career that would see Langford fight, and often defeat, some of the greatest names in boxing history, earning him a reputation as one of the most fearsome and respected fighters of all time. Sam Langford's rise to prominence in the boxing world was marked by early encounters with some of the most celebrated fighters of his era, battles that tested his skill and courage against legends. Despite his youth and smaller size, Langford demonstrated time and again that he was a force to be reckoned with, earning respect from opponents and fans alike. At just 17 years old, Langford stepped into the ring with the legendary Joe Gans, the reigning lightweight champion and widely regarded as one of the greatest fighters in history. Known as the Old Master, Gans was a technical wizard whose dominance in the lightweight division was unparalleled. The fight between the young Langford and the seasoned champion was highly anticipated, though few believed Langford could pose a serious challenge. Defying expectations, Langford delivered a remarkable performance, using his natural power and clever strategy to gain the upper hand. Many observers believed Langford had won decisively, but the victory was clouded by controversy. Langford failed to meet the lightweight limit, and was therefore ineligible to claim Gans's title. While he didn't leave with the belt, the fight cemented Langford's reputation as a rising star and a fighter capable of toppling the best. Langford's ascent continued with another legendary matchup, this time against Joe Walcott, known as the Barbados Demon. Walcott was considered the greatest welterweight of his time, renowned for his ferocity and ability to knock out opponents far larger than himself. Langford, undeterred by Walcott's fearsome reputation, approached the fight with a scientific and methodical strategy. Over the course of the match, Langford used his precision and tactical acumen to draw blood from the champion and neutralize his power. By the final bell, many in the crowd believed Langford had outclassed Walcott. However, the judges controversially ruled the fight a draw, a decision that sparked outrage among spectators. Though he didn't officially claim the victory, Langford's performance left no doubt that he was a top contender in the welterweight division. As Langford continued to dominate lighter weight classes, he set his sights on an even greater challenge, the heavyweight division. Despite his relatively small size, Langford was undaunted by the prospect of facing much larger opponents. His ambition to conquer multiple weight classes was a testament to his fearless nature and unshakable confidence in his abilities. One of Langford's early encounters in the heavyweight division was against Jack Johnson, a towering and powerful fighter who would later become the first African-American heavyweight world champion. At 6 foot 1 inch and significantly heavier, Johnson had a considerable size advantage over Langford. Despite being overmatched in weight and experience, Langford stood his ground and went the distance in a grueling bout. Johnson ultimately won the fight, but Langford's courage and skill earned him the admiration of the crowd. These early career highlights showcased Langford's unique ability to compete against and defeat fighters across a wide range of weight classes. Whether facing lightweight legends, welterweight champions, or heavyweight giants, Langford proved time and again that he was one of the most versatile and talented fighters the sport had ever seen. His relentless pursuit of greatness set the stage for a career filled with historic battles and enduring legacy. Langford first faced Jack Johnson in 1906, when Langford was just 20 years old. Johnson, already an established heavyweight contender, was 28, 6 inches taller, and had a significant weight advantage of nearly 30 pounds. Despite these disparities, Langford entered the fight with his trademark confidence and determination. Over the course of 15 grueling rounds, Johnson's size and experience ultimately proved too much for the younger Langford, who suffered several knockdowns. Yet, Langford showed extraordinary grit and skill, landing clean punches and even staggering Johnson with a vicious body shot in the later rounds. Though Johnson was awarded the victory, Langford emerged with his reputation enhanced. The spectators admired his tenacity and technique, with many viewing him as a potential future champion despite the loss. As Johnson's career ascended, culminating in his historic victory over Tommy Burns in 1908 to become the first African-American heavyweight world champion, Langford continued to dominate opponents across weight classes. Naturally, he sought a rematch with Johnson, now the heavyweight title holder. A second bout between the two seemed inevitable given Langford's rising stature, but Johnson was uninterested. Johnson reportedly dismissed the idea with the infamous claim that nobody wants to see two black men fight for the heavyweight title. While Johnson may have had his reasons, financial, strategic, or otherwise, this statement underscored the racial tensions and societal prejudices of the era that affected both men's careers. Langford's pursuit of a rematch became relentless. He challenged Johnson publicly and privately, traveling around the globe and defeating numerous heavyweight contenders in an effort to prove he was the most deserving challenger. European fans, frustrated by Johnson's refusal to fight Langford, began declaring Langford the people's champion. Langford's performances were nothing short of spectacular, as he consistently defeated fighters who had previously faced Johnson, often doing so in more decisive fashion. These victories only added to the mounting pressure on Johnson to grant Langford another shot, but the reigning champion continued to avoid him. Langford's team even went so far as to offer Johnson a purse of $10,000, a significant sum at the time. But Johnson declined, citing his upcoming fight of the century with Jim Jeffries in 1910 as his priority. After defeating Jeffries, Johnson faced legal troubles and ultimately went into exile, further ensuring that a rematch with Langford would never happen. For Langford, the denial of a title shot was a bitter injustice. Despite proving himself time and again against the best heavyweights of the era, he was forced to watch from the sidelines as Johnson defended his title against less formidable opponents. Langford's inability to secure a rematch wasn't due to a lack of skill or effort, but rather the societal and personal barriers that defined the boxing world of the early 20th century. The rivalry with Johnson remains a what-if in boxing history, a missed opportunity for one of the greatest fighters to cement his place as heavyweight champion. While Langford continued his career with unmatched resilience and success, the lack of a second bout with Johnson remains a glaring omission in an otherwise legendary story. It is a poignant reminder of how talent alone was often not enough to overcome the prejudices and politics of the time. Langford's first forays into the international boxing scene were driven by necessity. In the United States, his growing reputation as a fearsome fighter made it increasingly difficult to secure opponents willing to step into the ring with him. Promoters abroad, however, recognized the value of a fighter of Langford's caliber and eagerly brought him to their countries, where he quickly became a fan favorite. In Europe, Langford's matches were highly anticipated events, drawing large crowds eager to witness his legendary power and precision. One of his most memorable victories came against fireman Jim Flynn, a rugged and experienced heavyweight. Flynn had previously insulted Langford in the build-up to their fight, but Langford, always quick-witted and confident, promised to make it a short contest. True to his word, Langford knocked Flynn out in the first round with a thunderous uppercut that left the crowd stunned. Flynn's defeat was so decisive that he was reportedly incoherent for several minutes afterward. Ironically, years later, Flynn would go on to knock out a young Jack Dempsey, further highlighting Langford's dominance in their matchup. Langford continued to rack up victories against notable opponents, dazzling fans with his skill and charisma. He displayed a unique ability to adapt to different fighting styles, effortlessly switching between a calculated approach and overwhelming aggression when the situation demanded it. His success abroad not only bolstered his fame, but also exposed the global boxing audience to a level of skill and determination that few fighters could match. Langford's dominance came at a cost. His reputation as a nearly unbeatable fighter led to widespread avoidance from potential challengers. Fighters across multiple weight classes were reluctant to risk their records and reputations against Langford, knowing that a loss was likely. This left Langford in a peculiar position. Despite being one of the most talented boxers of his era, he often had to go to extraordinary lengths to secure matches. He earned the nickname Beggar Sam for his persistent efforts to challenge fighters from every division, often calling out opponents who had little interest in facing him. Langford's willingness to fight anyone, regardless of size or skill, became a defining aspect of his career. He frequently issued public challenges and sought matches through unconventional means, underscoring his determination to stay active and prove his superiority in the ring. When Langford couldn't find new challengers, he turned to familiar rivals, engaging in a series of legendary battles with some of the era's toughest fighters. His rivalries with Harry Wills, Sam McVea, and Joe Jeanette are among the most storied in boxing history, featuring multiple encounters that tested the limits of their endurance and skill. Harry Wills. Known as the Black Panther, Wills was one of the few fighters who could match Langford's strength and determination. Langford and Wills fought numerous times, with Langford winning some and losing others. Their battles were characterized by brutal exchanges and high levels of skill, earning widespread acclaim from fans and critics alike. Sam McVeigh. Another fierce rival, McVeigh was a powerful heavyweight with an aggressive style that made for thrilling matches. Langford and McVeigh fought an astonishing 15 times, with Langford often emerging victorious. These bouts showcased Langford's resilience, as he frequently overcame McVeigh's physical advantages to secure hard-fought wins. Joe Jeanette. A technically skilled and crafty fighter, Jeanette was a perfect foil for Langford. Their encounters were tactical masterpieces, with each man pushing the other to the brink. Langford and Jeanette fought 14 times, creating a rivalry that highlighted the depth of talent in the heavyweight division despite the era's racial discrimination. These rivalries were not just a testament to Langford's talent, but also a reflection of the challenges he faced in finding opponents. With so few fighters willing to step up, Langford often had to fight the same opponents multiple times, creating a small but fiercely competitive circle of elite boxers. Langford's international success and his battles with legendary opponents solidified his status as a global icon. He was celebrated for his unmatched power, tactical brilliance, and ability to compete across weight classes. While many fighters avoided him, those who stepped into the ring with Langford came away with a deep respect for his abilities. Langford's career overseas demonstrated the universal appeal of his fighting style and his ability to win over audiences wherever he went. Whether knocking out local favorites or engaging in epic rivalries with the best of his era, Langford's global career showcased the timeless brilliance of a fighter whose legacy continues to inspire. Sam Langford's life took a tragic turn as his career progressed, marked by physical decline, financial hardship, and a heartbreaking struggle to sustain himself through the only means he knew: boxing. Despite these challenges, Langford's determination and resilience remained unwavering, even as the odds stacked against him. In 1917, during a fight against the towering heavyweight contender Fred Fulton, Langford suffered a devastating injury that would alter the course of his life. Fulton, a powerful and skilled opponent, landed a vicious punch to Langford's temple. The blow severed the optic nerve in Langford's left eye, leaving him partially blind. The pain was described by Langford as 1,000 needles piercing my skull. And while he continued to fight that night, the damage was irreversible. Losing sight in one eye would have ended most fighters' careers, but Langford was not most fighters. He adapted his style, relying even more heavily on his remarkable sense of timing and distance to compensate for his impaired vision. Despite the significant handicap, Langford continued to compete against much younger and stronger opponents. His courage and resourcefulness in the ring earned him respect, but the injury marked the beginning of a physical decline that would eventually catch up to him. Langford's financial situation compounded his struggles. Throughout his career, he had been generous to a fault, often helping struggling fighters and friends. At the same time, reckless spending and the absence of financial guidance left him without savings or investments to fall back on in his later years. As opportunities in the ring dwindled, Langford found himself unable to support himself through any means other than fighting. The racial prejudices of the time also played a role in Langford's financial woes. Despite being one of the most talented and accomplished fighters of his era, he was consistently underpaid compared to his white contemporaries. Promoters exploited Langford's need for income, offering him lower purses than he deserved, and matching him against opponents who were often unworthy of sharing the ring with him. Unable to secure a steady source of income, Langford was forced to prolong his career far beyond his prime. His days as a pugilist were over, but the toll of his years in the ring was undeniable. Langford's decline was a poignant reminder of the harsh realities faced by many fighters of his time. Despite his incredible talent and contributions to the sport, he ended his career in obscurity, with little to show for his years of dedication and sacrifice. In his later years, Langford was discovered living in a basement in Boston, blind, impoverished, and forgotten by the sport that he had once defined. Yet, even in the face of such adversity, Langford's spirit remained unbroken. When interviewed about his circumstances, he famously said, "I've got my guitar. I've got my memories. I'm okay." It was a testament to his resilience and positivity, qualities that had defined him both inside and outside the ring. Langford's story is one of triumph and tragedy, a tale of a fighter who achieved greatness but was denied the recognition and rewards he deserved. Despite the hardships of his later years, his legacy as one of the most skilled and courageous fighters in boxing history remains intact, inspiring generations of fans and fighters alike.